And now, returning to the Dodo stage, Amy Liam.
I'm loud again.
That's okay.
Let's do this change, whoa, talk amongst yourselves, yeah. I apologize. I never want to experience that in my whole life ever again. The drama, like of course. I turned it off. Stress me out. We'll be safe. Hello. Hey. Yeah. All right. Hi, friends. Okay, so I have a book. It's called The Water Under the Bridge. I don't know do you guys use that? Have you heard of that phrase before?
Yeah.
The water under the bridge. Well, it's very famous in my family. My mama, like, I would fail a test and I'd come home and be like, Mom, like, I got a 60. And she'd be like, oh, it's water under the bridge. And then, like, the cat would die. Oh, it's water under the bridge. And then, like, very serious things would happen. She's like, oh, it's water under the bridge. Like, it's crazy. So this book is filled with things that I was told to forget about. And I couldn't quite forget about them. But it does feel nice to have them in one place. So this poem is then called The Water Under the Bridge. The water under the bridge is the water I still drink. The still in the simple. The still of my past. The still I've tried to silence, but it rings loud like sin on the seventh day. These knees be paralyzed, incapable of repentance. This tongue be on fire like the Lord said it would, and I be the rot at the bottom of the ocean, waiting for the bridge to collapse and join me, waiting for the consumption to begin, the rebirth, the recreation of Eden. For this all must be written, for this all must be destroyed, or the water will linger still in my mouth unswallowed. And I guess joining the theme of love as well. This poem, I guess, was written about learning to love the skin that I am in. My mother is Irish, my father is Dominican, I am biracial, obviously. And it's a pretty rough time to be brown in America right now, maybe in the world, maybe it's always been. But yeah, so here we go. I took bleach to this skin, washed away my sin, 'cause nobody knows the darkness I'm in. I took bleach to this skin, 'cause I'm tired of wondering what it would be like to be white, like my mother is. This girl is. There is no shame about her. There is no light without her. They ask her questions about her past and she answers honestly, niggers never lie. She is nigger like they call her. There is no shame in that. Blood be thick, heart be broken, body be indestructible like nigger. The girl is educated, brown, paradoxical whimsy. She lose like nigga, bleed like nigga, tastes like salt. We all do. We all sweat in the night and crave the sunrise, wondering how many times we'll wake in the midst of dreaming, wondering about our bones. And the way they caress our everything, the way our everything caresses our bones, and how badly we wish to caress someone else's everything. This skin, this brown, this sin I'm in, makes loving more difficult for the outsider, and hatred a little too easy for this skeleton. My mother will never be called a nigger, and that too often sits wrong with me. I wonder how she came to love me, this brown baby with hair too unruly for her Irish understanding, her legs too abandoned by my brown daddy, what her dreams must have looked like. I think that this skin made it easier for her to abandon me in. My mother will never be called a nigger, and that shit don't sit right with me, because I'm called when at least once a week this skin is searing with defeat. I'm tired, exhausted, tired of fearing the sun and the way it darkens me, tired of misusing my hands, for they have become violent things, tired of seeing skin lighteners in every beauty store and wanting to buy them so that I too can be beautiful like my mama is. I'm just trying to learn this skin, you know? How to be okay with it. The way it gleams and stretches, the way my fat fits in all the right places, this hair. Learning to love this hair, this face, this tone. I'm just trying to learn this skin, you know? How to be okay with it. How to discuss this tragedy, this junkyard of ancestry. I'm just trying to learn this skin. How to be okay. How to be okay. How to be okay. You know? This is about learning, well, I guess remembering to love during times of tragedy. I think that's one of the last things we remember to do. I do, at least. And then I'm like, oh, maybe kindness is the answer. Yeah. This is when the heart turns to stone. This is when the veins run dry. This is when every ounce of water within me refuses and freezes. This is when I refuse. This is when they refuse. This is when I refuse to let them forget. This is when I refuse to let me forget. This is when I remember. This is when I teach. This is when I remember to teach how not to forget. This is when I remember to teach the unlearning. This is when I remember to love. This thing here that we refuse to talk about. This thing here that sits in my stomach like a rock, like broken, like tragedy. This is what chaos sounds like. Don't you hear it ringing in the way your veins be pumping blood? This is what chaos sounds like. This is when the heart turns to stone. This is when the veins run dry. This is when all the water within me freezes and refuses. This is when I refuse. This is when they refuse. This is when I refuse to let them forget. This is when I refuse to let me forget. This is when I remember. This is when I teach. This is when I teach the unlearning. This is when I remember to teach how not to forget in times of turmoil. This is when I remember to teach how not to forget that this blood, this heart, this life be worth, you know. This is when I remember to love. This is when I remember to love. This is when I remember to love. This is when I remember I am alive. This. And this is my last one. I thought, let's make it short, sweet. I'm gonna be two people. Drama school degree, that's what we get. Darling, are you aware that the stove is on? I believe that is an accident. Can you be a dear and turn it off? No, I think it'd be nice if we burned together. I thought we wanted a peaceful death. Well, I'd like to think that minds can change. I'm gonna do it again.
Okay, of course.
Let's hope there's no tragedy this time. Sorry. Here we go. Yay. I'm sorry. Turning up all over the time.
Well, thanks to Amy for a truly fizzing performance.
Turn the sound on again.
Hope you can drop by next time you're in London.
Well, yay volume.
Hope you can drop. No.
No. A little louder. Whoa. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I caused
Hope.
with
Oh,
the
that's it.
There
Perfect.
we go.
Yes. Anyway, more applause for Amy. Now, to close Fizzing February at the Poetry Cafe, I'd like to welcome back Jasmine and Corey.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying like all the overlapping themes we've got going on today. That's really cool. Strange vibrational things. Okay, so there's a lot of loud women in my life, and all these loud women are with really quiet men.
Oh.
And yeah, so that's interesting to me, like the function of these quiet men in our lives. Like, what are they for? You know, not in that way, but just like, you know, that there's a function to the quietness in some way, and it's also terrifying in some way as well. So this is for all those men and all the people that know those men, and it's called Quiet Men because I'm unimaginative. Quiet men, nestled in broadsheets, sheds of home-brewed ale, on allotments